Hello and welcome to Apex Tech Reviews. Today, you're in for a treat. We have this Phenom powered powerhouse back here, and we're going to talk all about how I got it, how it works for gaming, and its technical details. Alright, so talk about a little bit how I got this computer. This was my grandma's computer for the last almost 10 years. It's from '08, and I got it free, which is my price range. Can't turn down free tech, right? So this is very much kind of the used car salesman strategy of, it was just drove to church on Sunday, because the hard drive had less than 1,000 hours on it in over 10 years. So it was literally turned on a few times a month to check an email. That's it. So she said, "Do you want it?" Of course I want it. Why not? And the original plan was to put a 750 Ti in it, play some basic games. But as keen-eyed viewers might notice, that is not a 750 Ti. That is a 950, because that was on sale for less than $100 a year ago when I got it. So I figured, why not? Obviously, I knew that the Phenom at 2.3 gigahertz would be a little bit of a bottleneck, and as you'll see, for a couple gaming benchmarks and regular benchmarks, it's more than a little. It's sad. But it has 7 gigs of RAM. Don't ask me why it's not 8. It has literally 3 sticks of 2 gig and 1 stick of 1 gig. HP, I don't know.
It's a good thing that Phenom, is so low. This way people can't just assume you're a bad gamer.
Shut up.
Here we have Bradley playing the game that matters the most, American Truck Simulator. This game might not be the hardest game to run and really doesn't use a lot of his GPU, but it does perform fairly taxing tasks upon the CPU, especially with the Phenom. I kind of just wanted to give you a good look of just some simulation games. I mean, this is a game that Bradley plays fairly often and enjoys, and a lot of the simulation games are quite popular at the moment, so this would give a brief idea of how those would perform. Overall, this Phenom is doing pretty well. I mean, we're in the 40s, 50s frames while he's coming out the parking lot, but I mean, as long as people don't block the entrance. Go ahead and pop a like if you hate people that just are terrible drivers, period, and shouldn't have a license. Now we have Bradley going ahead and getting on the highway, and you can see that the frame rates are dropping a bit. We're around the 30s. And, I mean, that's playable FPS. It's more than enjoyable, especially for this game. Now that we have the joking stuff out of the way, we're going to refresh you on the specs of the PC. We have a Phenom 4-core 9650. The GTX 950 is the graphics card, and this thing has an odd 7 gigabytes of DDR2. I'm refreshing your memory because these results are going to surprise you. Alrighty, here we actually have a AAA title. We have Doom, arguably one of the best games that has come out quite recently. He is playing a bit off. I hope he's not really trying that much, but the screen resolution is 1920 by 1080. He's playing on a 60 Hz monitor, and I mean, this is more than playable. This is almost enjoyable frame rates per second. You won't notice too many tears. Yes, currently the fight he's doing isn't too intensive and wouldn't cause a lot of FPS drop, but he's in the high 30s, mid 40s, sometimes in the 50s, so this is definitely an enjoyable experience for any Phenom user. And I mean, this shows this is without Vulkan enabled, so I mean, we're gonna probably pop open Vulkan in the next test. All settings are currently on high, and yeah, hopefully he picks up the orb, and he does it. Look at that. But yeah, it's more than impressive. It's more than playable at this point. Now we're opening up the settings. We're going to show you that Vulkan is enabled and show you what currently everything is set on. As you can see, everything's set to high and Vulkan is enabled. We'll show you how it affects performance in the game. There we go, yes. It's definitely playing better now, that's for sure. But if you check out the upper right corner, you can see the frame rates have changed quite a bit. Now we're high 40s, mid 50s, at times even capped out at 60. So with Vulkan enabled, you can play Doom on a Phenom quad core with a 950. Yes, Doom is an extremely optimized game and very good, and your mileage may vary in some other titles, but this is to show you primarily that with PCs, there is quite a linear curve to when it's going to be truly out of date. You can still get by with quite a lot of old tech nowadays, and you don't really need to always get the latest and greatest. It's not always necessary. Now, don't let me convince you to go out there and go buy a Phenom PC, but in Bradley's case, if you're given a PC for free, I mean, why would you say no?
Alrighty, so you just saw those abysmal benchmarks. You saw... Well, I can't...
Amazing benchmarks.
Yeah, you actually did pretty well. Just surprising. We're going to go ahead and start off and mention Doom that you obviously saw and how just ridiculously well optimized that game is.
Oh yeah, Vulkan, we were capped at 60 because we had VSync on for most of that. I mean, actually started using GPU, the fans started coming on, so...
It did well. I mean, it just sucks that the game we're playing is pretty terrible. But the important thing was that the frame rates were good, so there's room for improvement for yourself. But anyway...
You know what? That was for a video. I wasn't trying to play that hard.
But then we played your game, which is
my
American Truck Simulator.
It's one of them, yes.
And that one just seems completely CPU intensive.
Well,
CPU
I mean, it's an
intensive.
open world, so where we were playing at were kind of open roads, so it wasn't too bad. But yeah, you get in the city, it's CPU bottleneck all day. It's terrible.
It was nighttime in the game, but it did fairly well. I mean,
yeah,
I give it that. You were averaging around
being
40.
nighttime actually helps it a little bit too. That'll increase frames per second.
So that was good. But your CPU Z-score, I think that truly shows the giant gap and leap that has occurred.
Well, yeah, 10-year-old OEM locked at 2.3 gigahertz compared to, say yours, which was stocks running at 4 gigahertz and 6700K. So it's not going to compare.
It's completely ran off.
Intel always has better single cores anyway. So
I mean, if they were given a PC, would you tell them to do this, or would you tell them to sell the PC and try to start a build?
I got it for free. You can't beat free.
Yeah, and
throw a cheap card in it and have fun.
It's a pretty good thing, especially to do when you're in the interim before a build, because most people, you shouldn't be afraid to start your PC build. For one, it's like adult Legos with electronics. But
it's a lot. Well, I don't know. Legos are pretty expensive. I was about to say it's more expensive. But,
Legos, and they're also the terrible, horrible death trap that is losing one on the floor and then finding it 6 months later.
You know what? I have thousands of Legos from when I was a kid. I could sell those and build a PC.
Anyway, but what I'm trying to say is if you're given a PC, like you said, just throw a card in it. I mean, you can spend
I got a 950 just because it's on sale for $100, but something like a 750 Ti or anything used card floating around, just throw it in. Check your power supply, but other than that.
I mean, hell, you had the 950 you bought for $100, but we were just talking earlier today on some used markets. Get the 780, the former one of the higher tiered NVIDIA cards, for $100 used, but the bottleneck is already so far with the CPU. You're just increasing that bottleneck.
You're using what does 780 have? How many external power connectors did it need? I mean, stock OEM computer is not exactly going to have the highest powered power supply in it. So
yeah, definitely,
you're going to really have to. You're going to start spending more money on that.
But it's definitely doable.
That's why I say something like a 750 Ti that only draws power from the PCIe lane. You're not having to upgrade power supply. It'll work for you.
I mean, overall, I've got to say your computer surprises me. It managed to play.
It does what I want to do for now.
I mean, soon enough we'll have to show how terrible it is at DayZ, the ultimate in CPU
Yeah, well, I've
tests.
changed stuff in the config file on that, so it's runnable. It plays.
Well, on that note, thank you for watching us today on Apex Tech Reviews. I'm Zach.
I'm Bradley.
And please like and subscribe, and we'll have more tech videos for you in the upcoming weeks.